Mattie McGrath.
The bill, I'm delighted to have time to speak on this evening. The bill aims to prevent the National Treasury Management Agency from investing in businesses and that operate in Israeli settlements on Palestinian land. It requires the NTMA to ensure that no assets from Ireland Strategic Investment Fund, ISF, are invested in such businesses. If it becomes aware that the ISIF have invested in such businesses, it must divest those assets from the investment. The purpose of the bill is to prevent Ireland from being involved in illegal Israeli activities and to end the oppression of the Palestinian people. The objectives of the bill are to impose certain prohibitions and restrictions on the investment by the National Treasury Management Agency of the assets of the Ireland Strategic Fund, ISIF, in undertakings that appear on the UN database of companies operating in illegal Israeli settlements on Palestinian land. Number two, the bill requires the NTMA to ensure that such assets are not invested in such an undertaking, and where it becomes aware that an undertaking in which such assets have been invested by has been on the UN database, to divest the assets of that fund from such investment. The bill provides for related matters as well. And indeed, I think it's what's going on in Israel and Palestine for a long, long time. As a young man, I had great admiration for what the PLO were doing. But I have second thoughts, quite frankly, on the issue there now. And, I have listened to both sides of the argument. And we must listen to both sides of the argument. If we hope to get, while I condemn and abhor the murder of children and human beings and the slaughter of them by the Israeli attacks, but there's also constant launch of tunnels underneath and rockets overhead at the provocation of the Israelis. Two wrongs don't make a right. We saw for how long the troubles in the north from '69 till the peace process. And indeed, we should look at that maybe and try, as a neutral country here, when we were a neutral country, and we had credibility right through from the foundation of the state right up to quite recently. But we're no longer neutral now because we are decided to be wholly involved in one side in the war in Ukraine, wholly. And most political parties here, I think, backing what's going on there to the detriment of the other side. I'm no fan of Russia, but if we're neutral, we're neutral. And we had and did play our role in the League of Nations and the United Nations elsewhere as peacekeepers, and have done so. But if we, and I want to stop any funds being invested there from our National Treasury Management Agency or whatever, our business people involved there, but I don't want the double speak that goes on here all the time, that we are neutral, and our neutrality is outdated, Taoiseach tells us, when he was Taoiseach, and we must look at it again, and we are sending munitions, not munitions, but tells us overcoats and helmets and mine sweepers to Ukraine. We're not, and as if we had a navy here that we could do something. So we had respect as a neutral country, but a lot of that has been sadly diminished by our involvement, and we've turned a blind eye, sul dunta, to the different wars in Iraq and the Middle East and different parts of Syria and everything else, and we have not a coke out of it. And we have selective now on who we condemn and where that condemnation should fall and what we should say or do about it. So we're very mixed up here. Kind of licorice salt sauce now of our neutrality that we have here. As I said, I abhor violence, and the late Father Alec Reid, and indeed Martin Mansour, and former Taoiseach, and many others, many others who brought about the peace process in the north. We have a lot to offer, but not while we keep undermining our neutrality by being one-sided in the Ukraine war, and by being not condemning the United States for any directions, or NATO for any directions either, for that matter. And when we saw what happened in Syria and Afghanistan and other in the mess they made there. So we need a lot of soul searching and thinking, I think, here as we go forward. And this bill maybe is not as simple as it looks.